The guy who is dating this woman gets into a shoving match with Joe, and rather than knocking him out cold, Joe simply puts him into a tie clinch so that no one gets hurt, and hopefully the guy learns a lesson.
Look at you.
No! In terms of a social interaction, which we're seeing Joe in right there, he could calm people down, which actually I believe is the more confident thing to do. The thing that a happy, positive, charming person knows how to do is actually calm a situation down, get everybody to just feel good, chill the vibes out, baby, not go, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okie dokie, everybody. Well, I had such a big response to that Charisma on Command reaction video. I had no idea I would have such a big response to it, but I'm happy I did. I'm happy you guys liked it. To everybody that is a big fan of Charisma on Command and now found my channel, welcome. I'm happy that there are 2 channels that are giving out advice to people. And today, I'm gonna do another video. I thought it would be fun to try a video that maybe didn't seem like so much on my page. Tried to look for one that people recommended to me that didn't seem to be so similar to the type of vibe I give out. And so that's what we're gonna do today. Oh, by the way, if you don't already yet know, my name's Anthony Recenello. I'm a social and relationship coach. What that means is I help people meet the people that they really want to in their life. I've been doing this since 2005. What does that mean to be a social and relationship coach? Well, basically, you could find me at bars, clubs, parks, coffee shops, wherever. I am helping people actually go up to other people and work on their social skills, work on their conversation skills, work on their approach anxiety, their anxiety in general. If you want to know a little bit more about what I do, check the description. I talk all about it down there. Also, there's a link to a New York Times article, which really, there's a New York Times journalist that took like an entire month and studied exactly what I do. He talked to all my clients. He followed me out on sessions, coaching sessions with my clients. But without further ado, let's check out Charisma on Command. Don't be nice, or how to command respect without being a jerk.
So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do which will command respect in those tough situations without having to act like a jerk. Now, the first thing that Joe Rogan does that cannot be discounted is that he is a trained fighter. He knows how to defend himself physically, so he's more likely to speak up around people who act violent than you might be if you were afraid of getting hurt.
Doria, Jonathan, come on over here.
I am not happy.
You are the biggest on the planet.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't assault people. What are you doing?
Oh, but
it's called
Johnny.
strategy. He's yelling
That's
at
not
you.
a
You can't
strategy.
run up to him and hit him.
Is he saying that the reason why he's able to confront that woman is because he knows he could kick her ass? I mean, I feel like anybody would confront her about what she just did, especially the host of the show. I understand what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, I think it's super duper important to know how to protect yourself. I don't know how to do that. That's why I carry around a can of mace, walking around those dangerous streets of LA. I also gave one to my girlfriend, my mommy, and my sissy. However, I do really believe in learning some sort of martial art, and I'd like to do that in the future. However, I don't believe this has much to do with confidence or dealing with kind of bullies, because I think 99.99% of the time, nobody is gonna get physical with you. I also don't believe that somebody that is getting a little aggro towards you, the solution is to fight them. In fact, I've read what martial artists say about the first thing to do when you're in a situation where somebody could get physical with you is to run away, not to actually fight. That is the last resort. So I do understand there's a little something inside of you that says, yeah, listen, if it came down to it, I could defend myself, so I feel less scared. But like I said, 99.99% of the time, it's just not gonna happen to you. So I don't believe this is a necessary thing in terms of social interactions. I do believe it's important to learn a martial art just in terms of protecting yourself if somebody is like mugging you on the street or whatever the situation may be where you definitely cannot get out of a life and death situation.
A lot of us see this sort of terrible behavior, we may not want to speak up. We fear that someone is going to get in our face and escalate things to a level that we don't want to go. And a big value of knowing martial arts is not that you go around picking fights, but that you feel more comfortable saying what ought to be said, knowing that in the worst case scenario, you can protect yourself, which is exactly what happens here. The guy who is dating this woman gets into a shoving match with Joe, and rather than knocking him out cold, Joe simply puts him into a tie clinch so that no one gets hurt, and hopefully the guy learns a lesson.
Look at you.
No! Joe put him in. What did Joe put the sleeper on him? It never needs to go there. It literally never needs to go there. In most cases, if you're in a fight, it is because you matched somebody's aggression. It never needs to go there. I love that Joe did that. That's him. More power to him, man. But that literally never needs to go there. If you are coming at it from a peaceful place, from a no egoic place, I just made up that phrase. You could calm down any situation, and I mean just about any situation. If Joe came at that situation that we're looking at right now from a very, very calm place instead of an angry, aggressive place, I don't think he would have had to put the sleeper on a dude. He just wouldn't have. Again, in terms of social interactions, it is extremely, extremely rare that you'll ever get into a situation like that. There are rare occurrences where you're at a bar where everybody's really drunk and maybe you accidentally bump into somebody, like accidentally, and that person, because they're drunk and they're looking for a fight, maybe wants to hit you. But again, that's not a social interaction. That is instantly a fight, right? Fighting is usually a last resort. Running away is the first resort. In terms of a social interaction, which we're seeing Joe in right there, he could calm people down, which actually I believe is the more confident thing to do. The thing that a happy, positive, charming person knows how to do is actually calm a situation down, get everybody to just feel good, chill the vibes out, baby, not go, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come here, fucking. I really want to see this episode though. Okay, I'm spending way too much time on this.
If you and your husband hit each other, that's one thing. You don't run up and hit other contestants. No, hey.
He got in Joe's face.
And then he got too close to Joe.
He got too close to Joe.
And then all of a sudden they start going at it, and I was like, all right, I gotta break this up because Joe.
This is so funny.
Joe is okay though if people do not like what he says. He believes that honest conflict has more social value than dishonest harmony. And that means that he's going to risk upsetting people, being yelled at, or being despised if telling the truth requires it.
Yeah.
Take the Carlos Mencia incident several years ago. Carlos had been stealing jokes for less famous comedians for years, and it was an open secret in the comic industry. Almost no one did anything about it until Joe Rogan walked on the stage with Carlos and started chewing him out in front of a live audience.
You did another joke the other day. I saw you do a joke about licking a ass. It's like licking a battery. I saw a guy do it in Vegas. I go, well, that's where he got it from. The Reverend Bob Levy from the Howard Stern Show.
If you want to stop a particular behavior and you want to win the respect of everyone else who is thinking the same thing but is afraid to say it, you must speak up.
What did Charlie say? That was beautiful. It was something like agreeing in disharmony or something, and then disagreeing with harmony. I think that's great. I am all about completely disagreeing with somebody and feeling really chill about it. Why? Because I have an open mind and I am always able to say, yeah, you know what? I could be wrong, but this is what I think. I'm open to learning and I'm open to seeing if my point is incorrect. It's just so interesting that people think that disagreeing means I don't like you. Disagreeing means that there is emotion attached to it. It's just interesting, right? Like, why does me disagreeing with you have to mean that I dislike you? At the same time, I have learned to take the path of least resistance while still being authentic about what I have to say and what my perspective is. So again, Joe jumping up on stage and interrupting Carlos's act is great. I mean, I love it. Would I jump on stage and interrupt Carlos's act and kind of like put him down in front of a whole crowd? I wouldn't do it. Would I pull him aside after his act and say, hey, listen, man, I noticed you seem to be stealing a lot of people's jokes. Are you doing that? And I'd want to hear what he'd have to say. I have a feeling if Joe confronted him in that way, he could have probably had the same effect or even a stronger effect if it was coming from a place of love and saying, hey, buddy, are you doing that? Did you notice that you're doing that? I want to let you know that it seems like you are, and a lot of people are saying that you are. I like taking the path of least resistance. In other words, I like to go, okay, how could I get the most bang for my buck? What is the most efficient path to take? Am I the most efficient by jumping on stage and then calling him out in front of everybody? Is that going to make Carlos change his ways? Is that going to make other comedians change their ways? I don't know. What if I pulled him aside and talked to him, maybe asked him to come on my podcast? I don't know if he had a podcast on at that time, and talk about it. I think about the path of least resistance, the least confrontation while still being able to get the job done. It's more relaxing for me. I don't have to get so angry about things.
In this next case, Joe's friend, Brendan Schaub, was a heavyweight UFC fighter who had looked very sloppy in several fights and whose lack of technical ability was liable to get him hurt. Now, as a fighter, Schaub wanted to continue past all obstacles. But as his friend and an analyst, Joe knew that the difficult, honest truth could wind up saving his friend from serious physical consequences.
It's not that you don't try hard. It's not that you're not dedicated. It's not that you're not disciplined. It's not that you're not intelligent. There's shit that other people can do that you can't do. If you had a wrestling match with Cain Velasquez, how well do you think you'd do?
Straight up wrestling?
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised.
Really? You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd be surprised.
Mm.
I really do. I think he'd you up. And I say that as a friend and a guy who loves you.
This was a hard conversation, essentially telling your friend that you don't think he has what it takes to achieve his dream. During the podcast, Brendan was in tears, and you're only going to have the courage to begin these tough conversations when you accept the fact that being nice and avoiding harsh truths isn't necessarily kind, and it's not being a good friend. Encouraging Brendan's dreams could have wound up with him getting serious brain damage, so telling the truth and upsetting Brendan in the short term was actually the caring move from Joe.
I love how Joe spoke to Brendan in this clip right here. And I love how Charlie pointed it out. Something that I'd like to add on top of it is look at now how calm Joe is. And I think it's because Joe's a little bit older, and it's because it's in this very relaxed conversational environment, and Joe probably had a few jointies before the podcast or during, so he was more relaxed about it. But I have found that staying as calm as possible while being direct in what you want to say is the best way to go about it. And I think Charlie's right. This is a case for he did not want his friend to get badly hurt in the future. And that is a very good reason to speak up and tell him this. Look at Joe's vibe here. Look at his body language. Look at how he's speaking. He's speaking very directly. He's not mincing words. He's not using lots of like, I don't want to make you feel bad. Brendan, I just want you to know, blah, 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 blah. But maybe if you tried doing this, he just said it directly and calmly, which is the most respectful way to go about it. A lot of people think that respect is adding all of this bullshit on top of what you want to say. Oh, I'm sorry, but I kind of feel bad to say this, but that is actually disrespectful, because that is assuming that you believe that person is not able to accept the words that you're saying, not emotionally accept what you're saying. It's also showing that you guys don't have a good enough relationship that you could just speak bluntly to the person. So I see it as respect. And Joe, to me, is being respectful to Brendan in that instance by being very clear and blunt with him, but at the same time, being very calm about it. So very recently, Joe had on this, I think he was a UFC fighter, and it's very obvious that he did not believe in COVID-19, and they were having a conversation about it. And all of a sudden, after they were chatting for a while, the guy just goes, "Joe, COVID's fake, man. It's not real," or something like that. And instead of Joe jumping down his throat, telling him he's wrong, or starting stating facts, what I noticed, it was really great. He just said, "Let's relax, man. Here, you want to smoke?" He gave him a joint, and he showed that he's friends first with this guy. He showed that he cares more about their friendship than the disagreement they were having. After he calmed him down about the topic, then he went back in and he said, well, and he said it very calmly, just like he was talking to Brendan. He said, "Listen, there's a ton of doctors that say this is real. There's a ton of doctors that talk about the severity of this issue, blah, 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 blah. Here, let me just show you the clip."
It's actually light. So the nighttime is just as dangerous in the summer as it is during the day. It's not heat. It's not a temperature issue. I'm sure some temperature kills it.
Joe, this thing is not real, bro.
No!
This is not real,
It's not
bro.
real?
It's not
Should we
real.
light a joint?
It is the fucking flu. Yeah,
We're going
please, let's do it. Dude,
Take one of those.
it's not real.
You don't think it's real?
I think that the flu is real. I think that people get sick from the flu every year and die. I think that it's a bad thing. I don't think that all of this nonsense is going on, and they keep perpetuating it and keep perpetuating it. It's, come on.
I understand what you're saying. I'm going to give you a different perspective.
Okay.
This is the different perspective. The different perspective is legit biologists have analyzed the actual virus itself, and they find all sorts of problems with this virus. I had Brett Weinstein on the podcast the other day. He's a professor, a legit biologist, and he was discussing all of the indicators in the virus that seem to point to the fact that this has probably been leaked from a lab. What is that? What do you got there?
Ice
Oh,
cold,
Budweiser.
Ice cold,
Ooh,
delicious,
yes.
but heavy for you, my
What
friend.
a good man. He brings his own beer. You fucking stud.
I come with all kinds of gifts. Oh, I brought you some Ignite stuff too.
Oh, nice.
So let me tell you a story of back when I was in college, and this was a time in my life where I was very scared of confrontation. It made me very uncomfortable. I did not like to do it ever. And me and my roommate, we used to watch movies late at night, really freaking loud. And I remember this specific movie, one particular night, we were watching Tombstone, blasting that shit on the TV, and our suite mate was very obviously a roid maniac, and he was roid raging that night. This particular night, we had our bathroom door open, just kind of like cracked, maybe like a half a foot, and we were watching the movie. Then all of the sudden, we heard the most explosive bang you could ever hear in your life. Pow! And it was our bathroom door being slammed shut, because suite mates, we share the same bathroom. As if you go to college, or if you went to college, you would know. We both looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Holy crap. I personally was scared shitless. I had no idea what to do. The next day, my roommate, who, by the way, the nicest person in the world, he's a devout Christian. We were best friends during college. And he was just the funniest, nicest, most likable person, never negative, never mean. Everybody knew him as that. And he told me, he's like, yeah, we got to talk to him. about, he literally broke the towel rack off of our door. It was on the floor and it was bent. Who does that? How is that even possible? It's like the Incredible Hulk. And I was like, yeah, we gotta talk to him. I was so scared. And then I witnessed what I saw to be magic. My roommate walked right into the guy's room and said, "Hey John, by the way, do you think you could just replace our towel rack for us?" That was it. The guy goes, "Oh yeah, sure. Don't worry about it, man." And he said, "Thanks." And he walked back in, and I looked at him like, what the hell just happened, dude? He's like, "Oh yeah, I just asked him." And that was the day where I learned exactly what Joe Rogan was doing with Brendan Schaub there and with that COVID guy. If you come to somebody with complete love, but at the same time being completely direct with the person, you could do no wrong in confrontation. That is how to confront people. Don't do it with emotion, except for with love. You do not love somebody by going, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, last night was really weird. Oh boy." Come to them very calmly, with love in your heart, and say exactly what you want to say. You don't need to sugarcoat anything. And so I think Charlie made a really great point with how Joe interacts with people. In that example, of course, where we chokeholded somebody, that's not what to do. Don't do that. Don't come to people with anger, or you will get into a fight.
For now, here is what we can see from Joe. First off, it's often a good idea to acknowledge that you don't enjoy the conflict and that the person that you're speaking to may not either. This is particularly useful for situations where you're entering into conflict with someone that you're close to. Take the conversation with Brendan Schaub as an example.
This is hard for me to say because I love you as a friend. It's hard for me to say, but this is just a reality. The guys who are at the top of the fucking mountain, they're performing at a different level than you.
I don't think you need to do that. I don't think you need to do any sugarcoating whatsoever. Oh, this is hard for me to say. Don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's bad that he said that, but I just don't think it's necessary. Again, as long as you have complete love and calmness, presence, and purpose in what you want to say, you say anything you want. And your words will be correct, and they will not be offensive, because you have love and you're speaking with love. So you could speak directly and you don't have to say things like, "Oh, this is hard for me to say." Not that Joe did anything wrong there. It's not like that's worsening. He would be worsening it if he was like, "Oh man, really sorry for saying this." That would be sugarcoating it in a way where it showed that he doesn't have a good relationship with Brendan.
A great phrase to kick off a potentially confrontational conversation is this. You start by saying, "Look, this is something that I've been wanting to tell you, but I've been uncomfortable about it and I haven't wanted to say it." That sentence opens the other person up and makes them less likely to jump down your throat if the news is on the harsher side.
I think that's unnecessary. I think you can say that, and that's fine if that makes you feel better. But again, I think all you need to say is, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something." Simple.
This mentality leads to Rogan's fairly unique ability to like someone as a person completely separate from their political or social views. Now, this is the case with Alex Jones, who Joe has known for years, despite the fact that he disagrees with a lot of what Alex says.
Alex Jones, I love you, buddy, for real. But you say some silly shit. That's where this all comes from. Doesn't mean I don't love you.
You'll see a similar pattern of validating the person while objecting to specific behaviors when Joe speaks to Owen Benjamin about what he writes on Twitter.
I wanted to talk to you about social media, okay? Because I love you.
I love you too.
I think you're a very good guy. I really do. But you are the worst representative of yourself on social media.
Again, just like I said, showing the person that you love them and then say what you want to say.
Don't have a conflict with a person, but with a pattern of behavior. And if you begin to think that you are in conflict with an individual, you will dig in your heels and make things worse. You're likely to conflate the person with their ideas.
Again, man, I am super surprised. I think it's mainly because the thumbnails and the titles come off a little clickbaity for Charlie's videos. So I kind of start off with a little bit of bias when I see something like this. Don't be nice. I think Charlie did his research on this. I think it was a great job. Most of it I definitely agree with, and everything he said was great. There were a couple things I disagreed with. One, I don't think you have to know martial arts in order to be confident with people, and confrontation, I think that has zero to do with it whatsoever. In fact, I think even having the idea that a confrontation is some sort of potential fight is wrong. And I think those clips of Joe taking some dude down is more past Joe. I don't think Joe would probably have that same interaction the way he did in the past when he was doing whatever Fear Factor or whatever the hell show that was. I also don't think Joe would get up on stage and call out Carlos Mencia. I think he's matured past that. But at the same time, I'm not a comedian, so I don't feel as passionately about people stealing jokes. And I think maybe the purpose of Joe doing that was to also strike a little fear into the hearts of other potential comedians stealing jokes from people and showing that, hey, this community is being about authentic and using your own stuff, maybe more than just confronting Carlos. I don't know. However, again, I believe in path of least resistance and being the most efficient. So how could I get the most bang for my buck without, you know, expending the most energy? But then Charlie fucking dinged it out of the park at the end, taking some really good clips from Joe's podcast and showing the nuances of how Joe goes about confrontation, which he does often because he has some nutty people on his show. He has some crazy dudes, some conspiracy theorists. So Joe has to deal with a lot of ridiculousness a lot. And I think Joe is an expert at confrontation. And again, the way that he really goes about it, especially these days, calm, love, no sugarcoating, and direct. That's it. If you liked what you saw on this video, I do these reaction videos a lot, and I'm about to do a lot more exciting things. I don't want to just stay in the whole reaction video world. I want to branch out and do a lot more fun stuff. So I'm about to do a lot more collabs. I'm going to do a show called First Date where I coach YouTubers on having a first date. I'm actually going to put them on first dates and we're going to see how it works out. I'm going to coach them along the way. I think it's going to be fun. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe or like. Further, I have a Discord server where all of my subscribers like to meet each other, socialize, have a great time. It's a real wholesome, fun, wild time in there. I'm in there often, chatting with everyone, having fun. I have a free audiobook called Iconic Learning from the Greats. It teaches you really the only 3 things. This is the European way, this is the American way. The only 3 things you need to do in order to be the most happy, confident, attractive person that you can be. Lastly, if you don't know who Charlie Runkle, or whatever his last name, from Charisma on Command is, he has a great channel. I recommend you subscribe to him, but likely you're coming here because you already know who he is and then you're checking out my video. With that being said, if you'd like to watch another video, watch one right here.